So the complaint is people don't want gear limitations on normal lobbies because they feel as though they should be able to wear whatever they want going into a normal lobby, right? And to an extent, that makes some amount of sense. And I agree that the idea behind gear-based matchmaking doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm not a fan of it. I haven't ever really been a fan of it. However, in the case of a game like this one, when gear disparity actually is a thing, the only people that can truly find problems with wearing purples into normal lobbies are people that have an inherent ability to be able to just steamroll a Timmy every time that they end up wearing their best set on normals, because all they want to do is clear a lobby for fun and entertainment, or they're trying to clear out the competition so that they can easily farm a normal high-end or the normal Inferno boss. Those are the only two reasons why you would bother. Otherwise, they have to take those purples into High Roller, where there's more competition, but there are other problems with High Roller. My ping to the US East servers for Dark and Darker is usually somewhere around 50 to 60 ms. Right now, it's at 16. And that is because of this VPN program, Gear Up Booster, who has been kind enough to sponsor today's video. Gear Up Booster's service reduces and stabilizes latency between your client and the game server by providing an optimal data path between your client and that server, especially during peak times when everyone is using the internet at once, like taking a private jet to work instead of having to deal with all that traffic. A lot less stressful, right? This is especially key when optimizing these connections for people that have an area of the globe that isn't very good for internet infrastructure. This reduces all of those intermittent ping spikes that you suffer from and provides for a latency-free gaming experience, and it does it for a lot less than the competitors in this space. Seriously, it's like half as expensive. All you have to do is click on the game that you want to boost, and then start the game. That's it. I tried this during a recent gaming session, and you can really, really feel the difference. So check it out using the link in the description below, where each new registry gets a 3-day free trial, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And a very special thank you to the folks over at Gear Up for sponsoring this video. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. It's not High Roller as a game mode that's the problem. It's the rewards and the issues surrounding High Roller. The limitations on gearing in normals is a non-issue. And like, yeah, there's the argument that people can perfectly itemize blue gear and they can go in and they can roll everyone in perfectly itemized blue gear, but they could have done that same thing wearing purples or whatever. All the purple items do is give you another stat line. So they arguably make someone even potentially stronger than they already would have been in perfectly itemized blues, because those same types of people would have gotten perfectly itemized purples to do the same thing even more efficiently than the blue wearing dudes, right? It would have happened regardless. But that's not the issue. The issue is that High Roller doesn't offer a strong enough incentive, and the current leaderboard system, which is the only progress that people have the ability to strive for right now, is fucking broken. It's flawed. And the devs know that the leaderboard system that they implemented right now is flawed. Because right now, the way that the leaderboard system works is it averages out 20 runs. Like, you have to do 20 runs to get on the leaderboard. And then those 20 runs are your average. So it basically takes like a rolling 20-run snapshot of whatever you did in that series of runs. Like, if you lived 20 in a row, then you have like a perfect survival rate. If you looted a bajillion gold worth of treasure over 20 runs, then it would average that out over 20 runs, and that would be like your score, right? And each run you do subsequently after that modifies that average. And then they have that decay mechanic for the top 100. So it's flawed right now because there are people that could do their 20 and then like just kind of deal with the decay and then run a raid to like make up the raid that they lost each day, if they're top 100 or whatever. And there are people that complain that like they want to constantly run High Roller, but it could actually make their average worse, which knocks them down in ranking, which isn't ideal. But they're trying to implement some type of a system that benefits people that are like the average gamer that has a day job that can't play for 1 trillion hours a week, and they can get in a handful of runs like each evening to try to show that there are people that are proficient at the game, even though they don't have as much time to play the game, which I believe there are probably few people, you know, comparatively across the player base. There are probably like only a handful of people that would really fit that criteria, but they still exist. And I feel like at some level, those people, if capable, should be able to be represented. But it's not a big enough carrot for the people that are putting in a lot of time that are trying to amass gear, because right now the gameplay cycle is I go in on normals and I amass a whole bunch of gear. And then when leaderboard starts, or I go to high roller and I amass a whole bunch of gear and wealth and whatever. And then when leaderboard starts, now I have like this bank full of shit that I then expend in order to be able to run leaderboards and, you know, get whatever rank. Like, that's the entire gameplay loop right now. There's nothing fucking else to do other than like just run it back. Like, that's it. That's all there is. And the incentive that is being provided to people from leaderboards through high roller is not enough to keep people engaged, especially now not with like the averaging that they're doing at the moment. So that's the problem. It's not that people are being cut off from being able to wear purples in normal runs. It's that the purples are being devalued because not nearly as many people are running in HR, and the HR rewards along with leaderboards and stuff, there's no progressivism there. There's nothing to progress into or toward. So it just fizzles out. And then everybody goes, well, I just want to play normals. Like, that's the problem. And that teaming. So the other problem is West Coast US, especially West Coast US, and the SEA servers are completely full of gold farmers and a bunch of Asian teamers, mostly Chinese. If you go into a high roller lobby on the West Coast server in the US, it is nothing but 9 to 12 people that all speak Chinese and they all work together. Usually what happens is you have 3 to 4 teams of people and then a solo player that will go in. The solo player kills himself on purpose, and then they spectate the entire lobby and they tell the 12 guys, 9 guys, whatever, that are all working together where the non-team people are. And then those people either get hunted or they get left alone as long as they don't fuck with the other 9 or 12 guys that are teaming. That's been the gameplay loop, unfortunately, on the West Coast of the US. And in SEA, it happens at the same time. So we have like this massive teaming problem, and it's easy to do in high roller right now because the population of the game is only 20,000 to 25,000 players. So when you go into high roller on West Coast during like normal gaming hours in the US, you have a very easy time queue sniping each other and getting into simultaneous lobbies because the gameplay, the game community isn't large enough to be able to combat that from happening. That's it. It's a lot harder to queue snipe people in normals because they fill up quick. But if you're going into high roller, it takes time and then it fills up with people. So that's what happens. And it's a problem. Obviously, it's a problem, and the devs need to do some shit about it. But I don't know what the process is for them to be able to like easily detect all of those folks and kick them the fuck out. I don't know how that would work, but that's how it's been going because they're trying to obviously like farm up a bunch of gold and items or whatever and then sell them for RMT. Like that's it. So those things need to be remedied because that's what sours high roller. High roller itself is not a rewarding experience for those reasons. And then obviously you have like, you know, stream snipers and all that other stuff, but that shit's like secondary. Yeah, they need some type of thing that says like the problem with a lobby like high roller is it fills so slowly that it's hard to say that such and such a team was in a lobby with another team at the same time, because it's very likely with how slow it is right now that 70% of those same teams will end up in the same lobbies against each other because they fill so slowly. It would be different if there was 100,000 people running high roller on that server at the same time, right? But there aren't. There's like 100 or 200, like probably not even that much, because the vast majority of the player base plays normals. So you have this lobby issue. The only way that you can justifiably prove that that's actually happening would be to record the entire match or have the devs like accurately running demo files or logging all of the movements and watching the map flow and then watching them actively like working together toward like a common goal on a regular basis, you know, 5 raids, 7 raids, 10 raids, whatever it is. And then you could take action. But without the trend and without the accuracy of data collection, I don't know how they could pull it off unless they have like a bunch of recorded points of view of the same people doing it over and over again. And even in that case, if it's profitable for them, they're just going to buy another account. They'll speed level it up through the normal arc over the course of an afternoon, and then they'll be back into HR in a day. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the answer is, but that is the problem. It's not that high roller's a bad game mode. It's not that the blue gear limitation is bad. None of that is the issue. The issue is that the incentive to go beyond normals into high roller is not strong enough, and if anything, it's disincentivizing people to do that because of the problems that are like present in it. And I think honestly, like the teaming issue is probably the biggest problem. I bought and downloaded this game last night, and I'm starting to think we've made a mistake. Think you've made a mistake. I don't think it's a mistake to play the game. I play the game every day. I play the game every day, 8 to 10 hours a day, minimum 8 to 10 hours a day. I love this fucking game. And I agree with the frustrations that people are experiencing about High Roller being a lack of an incentive. And if I'm being completely honest, 95% of the player base is not going to bother playing High Roller to begin with. It's not going to be a thing that like most people strive to go into because of how sweaty it becomes. But it's unhealthy in that game mode right now. And their challenge is going to be able to present High Roller in a way that isn't as unhealthy as it is, if that makes sense. Spectate mode should just be the team that killed you, not the ability to rotate the whole lobby. Agree. Fix the spectator view so you have to watch as the teams die and get out and can't move around.